Welcome to Board Gamers Anonymous, a podcast about gamers and the insane fun we have at the table together. This is Anthony.
This is Dan.
This is Kim.
Hey, this is Chris.
Right, welcome to episode 23. This week we are going to review the hot new game, Battlelore, 2nd edition. We've gotten this table a few times. It's honestly one of my favorite new games in the last few months. And
You're ruining the review already.
hey, we're on a streak. The last few episodes,
None of that, but it's in Terranoth.
yeah.
It can't be bad.
We spent the last two podcasts saying how much we would like it, so it would just be a letdown.
Yeah, but it could be a twist.
He's twist?
It's twist.
Yeah, so spoiler, it's awesome. But we can listen to our full review at the end of the podcast. It's legitimately an awesome game. I don't consider myself a huge war gamer, and this one really scratches that itch. But we also got a few other awesome games, Boss Monster expansion, Pixel Tactics. Kim's been playing the heck out of Pathfinder card game.
Oh, yeah. It's my new favorite after Terra Mystica. Yeah. I can't pick. It's like, Dan will be like, what do you want to bring to Myriad? It's like, Terra Mystica and Pathfinder. And whoever wants to play, will play.
We need to borrow Drew and make a mashup.
Yeah.
You could go adventuring in Terra Mystica.
Terrafinder.
With O-R-R-O-R. Terra.
Or with Drew, it would be like Path Ticket to Ride Finder.
You gotta throw a risk in there.
You got a risky.
Yeah, that's Risk Finder. I like it.
Terra Mystica on a world map. That'd be kind of interesting.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Change Brazil into a swamp. All right, so that's where we're at today. We got some news, of course. I don't know if we've actually talked about this yet, but we are going to be at PAX in April.
We have not talked about that, and people should know.
They should know, because if you're in the Boston area, if you're going to be at PAX, we're going to be there.
This is PAX East, right?
PAX East, yeah.
And PAX usually, it's a huge video game expo. People have always had that connotation for years. But the guys that run Penny Arcade are huge RPGers. They have their own podcast about playing D&D sessions. Wizards of the Coast has a tremendous presence by previewing D&D Next. They had Magic tournaments left and right. And there was hundreds of tables of tabletop game going on when we were there. That's where we got our first taste of painting miniatures. There was giveaways and promos of things. People were teaching games left and right. That's where we stumbled across Kansme for the first time, which, still is an amazing deck builder mechanic. Who would have ever thought? You bought this, now you get to use it. You don't have to wait. It's like people criticize the art, but the game is phenomenal.
Sure.
And Plaid Hat is going to be there this year. We're looking around, dice vendors. You'll find indie RPGs galore. There's a huge tabletop presence. So
sure. And if you're going to be in the area, we're going to probably talk about a little bit later or in the next couple of podcasts about maybe even setting up a game, running a game at the event, or just maybe getting together. So if you're one of our listeners out there, come down, find us. We'd love to play a game with you.
Yeah. This will be our first official convention as BGA. So, we're making it up as we go, but we definitely want to hang out with you if you listen to the podcast and are in the area. So,
and if you want to grow join that ever-growing list of people that have destroyed me in Lords of Waterdeep, because the list is pretty big. You might want to get on it. It's a pretty prestigious title. Terra Mystica. We can get some games to that going. We're going to be bringing a few of our favorites because it's a great chance to just break out that game that you may not get it out at your local game store. You will be able to there.
Yeah, we definitely got the time for it. So in the next few weeks, if any plans come together, if we have a time in mind, we'll announce it here, and then hopefully you can meet us there.
Yeah, but definitely let us know if you're going to be at PAX or you're in that area. So this way we can kind of pull something together to meet all of you out there.
Yeah, we will be gaming, but we also would like to game with you. All right. Other news, obviously we got tournaments here at Myriad Games, which is just off the hook lately. I know that you guys have been playing Mage Wars left, right, and sideways.
Yeah,
what week are we on? 4?
We're going into week 4, and we'll talk a little more about how the setup is going on when we talk about local game shops. But this has been one of the biggest growing tournaments I've seen in a long time. It started out with 16 people. We had 1 or 2 drops, so you wonder if it'll only be 8 people at the end. We picked up 6 more people playing this over the last 3 weeks. Yeah. It's one of the games that are actually flying off the shelf left and right. Every time we get more expansions in, new books in, people snatch them up left and right.
Yeah, since the store opened, there have been a lot of tournaments. Some of them have been better than others, but this one has really seemed like people, not only has it been running really well, but everybody seems to be enjoying it. Nobody's like, man, I got destroyed again, but I got to play next week because I'm already invested. Everybody's like really excited to keep playing. So
Yeah, Nick, one of our friends from the Stand On Board Game, has done an outstanding job pulling this together because it's an enormous task to be able to pull this level of complexity and this number of people in, and it's just hitting it out of the park.
And I mean, that's the beauty. Like, he loves the game, and I mean, it shows. Like, he makes it interesting. He has found variants. He's been in touch with Arcane Wonders left and right about, ideas for things and structure, and they're communicating with him like every day.
It's great.
So that's awesome.
yeah, it's fun to watch.
Is there still a chance to get in on that if people
Oh
are
yeah,
interested?
and that's the other thing too. They have teaching games all the time. So if people want to play it, they can just go down, learn to play, start joining in on that week, because it's an ongoing tournament. It's a 10-week tournament. Every week you have an option of prizes. And you can even get a prize for losing, because besides winning the game, which is always a goal, there's actually a sub-objective. So you may not win the game, but if you really want that promo, you can be like, all right, you're going to kill me, but now I'm just chucking out fireballs left and right. So this, I'm the one that does the most fire damage, and you can still win a prize. It's nice to know that you don't have to win to walk home with something.
Sure.
As opposed to normal tournaments where in round 2, if you get crushed, you just start weeping and I'm never going to have that many ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You're going on eBay in the middle of the tournament. Yeah, you attack. That's great. I'm trying to find out how much I can buy that guy for.
I came in here expecting to get it. I'm not going to get it here.
Guess I'm going to Brooklyn to play the Friday night tourney. All sad.
That's awesome. What do we got? Week or month 6 of Attack Wing too.
Yes, so it's the final month for Star Trek Attack Wing Dominion Wars, and this is really the kind of big week everyone's been waiting for. It's a little deviation from the actual storyline of the show, but this is once again like the final battle of Deep Space Nine, and the participation prize is these little Federation fighters. It's actually 3 little fighters that kind of act as one ship or one fleet.
That's cool.
And and they had a Cardassian version of this.
Oh no.
I know. It's happening.
It was talentless, and
It's true.
it got naked in a video. And
Well, it takes a lot of hits. That's all I'm saying.
Ba-dum-bum.
That's
if
mainly
you
what's
attack
there.
it from the back, it does nothing.
I want to say basically that's what it's there for, but
Yeah.
it's fun. It's kind of true. Our friend Andrew Parks, I guess he's a big fan of the show. So beyond the participation prize, which is great because these are you get to play a game like Dan was talking about. Just sitting down and playing the game and jumping into the tournament, you get a great ship, and supposedly these ships will not be produced for sale later on. So this is just a great time to come to Myriad, jump in on Star Trek Attack Wing. I'm always there. I'm willing to teach anybody who's interested. It's a really easy and fun type of game because if you're looking to get into miniature wargaming in some way, this is simple. It's got the printed out templates. It's all set up for you. It has any level of complexity you want to get into, and you don't need to know about the universe in order to play.
Now, quick question, because I know it's a WizKids tourney. I know with HeroClix at the end of the 6-month thing, there's usually the outrageous prize.
Yeah, that's the big part to this. So beyond the Federation fighters, and there's a Bajoran ship that's like the prize for that week. It also all wraps up in the 6-month final prize, which is this huge Deep Space Nine model that's something like 2 feet, round. It's a big round piece that you can actually use and play. Because up to this point, they've been giving you these cardboard templates. It'll actually be this huge figure that you can play with. And the way WizKids had it set up was, if you won enough whoever had the most points at the end of the 6 months, got it. We were playing a little bit differently, so we're going to play a final match for it and kind of let everybody in. So, like I said, still have a chance to win the big prize if you're interested.
Yeah, because for Fear Itself,
I know.
they had they had that giant dragon for Fear Itself. I know for the end of the Avengers vs. X-Men, it's this huge Phoenix Cyclops figure.
Sure.
That
It's crazy.
looks unbelievable. Yeah. Yeah, that's why I've been, normally I just try out fun teams and silly teams. But for this Avengers vs. X-Men thing, I'm like, this guy is good. I'm using this guy.
Yeah,
that Cyclops thing looks awesome.
So the Star Trek Attack Wing will be March 22nd, and new players are welcome. And we're actually also running an OP for Star Wars miniatures, the X-Wing
cool.
miniatures, and that will be on March 15th. And that's just a new thing at Myriad Games in Staten Island. So if you've always wanted to get into X-Wing miniatures, this would be a great time. because we're just kind of playing for fun, learning, but everyone will get prizes.
You get a kit for that?
There was some promos that we're kind of putting together, and that's what's going to be given up as prizes. I think it's those plexiglass targets and focus, and there's also these cards for the Millennium Falcon that are like the variants. So it's these really large Millennium Falcon cards.
I'm tempted. See, that's the problem. Like, Fantasy Flight makes such better models, but they don't have the kits that WizKids does.
That's
Like,
true.
I know they run the tournaments, and I'm just like, the prizes are meh.
Yeah.
I mean, they have, like, tournaments, national stuff. I don't know.
I will give you $5 to show up to both tournaments with the wrong type of game, and just start setting up like it's no big
Flame
deal.
Wars.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna do it.
You can't mix the things.
I use my Dark Vader on your Enterprise and shoot your Dumbledore. What?
Be like the Lego movie.
It's true.
I'll even give you the Bishop HeroClix just to put on the board. No, he's piloting this. It's cool.
I kind of want to do the X-Wing, but I'm almost certain Sean will just obliterate everybody.
We'll have to give Sean a handicap.
I don't
Yeah.
even understand how you're almost certain. You should be
Yeah.
definitely certain.
Like, Sean, can I borrow all your best guys and you can't use them, please? I'm going to buy more guys.
And then I guess the final tournament will be, we're wrapping up our Roll Through the Ages February tournament for stand-on board gamers. So this final week of February will kind of catch us all here. So if you're literally in the listening area of Dan's house, please join us because this podcast will come out after the fact.
Like the day before.
All right, so the day before. So if you really just download then run out and drive down here, that'd be awesome because we'd love to have you.
And today is our coup tournament, right?
Yes, today is also our coup tournament. So a couple of us picked up the Kickstarter. So I think we're going to play like a 10-person game of coup.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the next episode, we can note how many friendships were ruined permanently, how many profanities were slung as somebody kicked a table on their way out. It sounds right.
How many
Worth it.
coup copies have been burned?
Why not eliminate me? I mean, he has 2 guys left, but sure, let's kill me. Why not? I guarantee we're gonna do that. It's gonna be nice.
We should do a tournament bingo and just be like check things off as they happen during the tournament.
How many people flip out in the span? Like, make it a pool.
Yes.
I expect 4 people to flip out in 17 minutes. I don't know, man. Coup's kind of fast. I'm putting it on 15 minutes. You know, it's like one of those. It'll be great.
How many storm outs? 5. How many tables flipped? 3.
Don't you want to play Ticket to... No! No, I'm done! I'm already in!
That's awesome.
So there's a lot more fun above and beyond the actual game itself. So definitely come on down. If
I'm going to be watching with a bag of popcorn.
Oh, fun times at Myriad.
It's going to be good.
Yeah. So yeah, lots of tournaments coming up. We're trying to get a couple other ones together too. We'll give you the news if and or when they come together.
Yeah, we'll have a whole March kind of set up.
Yeah, definitely. So that's you got to have stuff, man, because there's no conventions or anything until the spring. So
Yeah,
gotta keep it busy.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like that's one of the beauties of having like these like little side tournaments. It's one thing to play the game here and there, but like when you play it competitively, sometimes like people that wouldn't normally play, they start to see like, oh well, there's 12 people in it. All right, I guess I'll join. You get to have like that mass day of a game. Like
Yeah.
downside is sometimes after the tournament you're like, all right, well I'm sick of this game for the next 6 months.
It's happened to me on multiple games. Those board game tournaments last summer, man.
Wow.
Tell you
I don't think I've played King of Tokyo since.
when's the last
No.
time you saw somebody playing Dixit?
I've played that a couple times since.
Yeah, but I'm saying at the store.
Yeah, that's true.
That was a lot of people. I mean, originally, how many people do we have for Sound Board Gamers? Like, we had a ton of people playing that, and that was over what?
The Dixit tournament had like 21.
I think King of Tokyo had like 36 or something.
Yeah, but that was like a chance to go to.
Yeah, but I'm
to
saying
Japan.
just the fact that.
But it was part of the overall tournament, and then
Yeah.
we did that for 6-7 months?
7. Yeah.
7 months. So, and I came in first. You came in second.
Yeah.
Yay, BGA! What?
We're the ones who kept showing up.
And Drew came in third.
Yeah.
And I think Brian came in fourth on that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It was fun. It was just it kind of petered out. It was hard to hold a tournament together that long.
Yeah.
With diverse games like that, it wasn't like a single.
and,
Yeah. There was that mini game tournament, which was like
Ugh.
pitch car.
Don't
No
remind me.
thanks.
also known as the disaster to remember.
Pitch card, no thanks. And where's my
There's
fish?
my fish. Yeah,
That
where's my
was
fish?
that was so bad.
Dude, I won that tournament.
Did
Don't
you?
ask me how.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the nightmares. Was it worth the $8?
Sometimes when you win, you actually lose. Hey, I beat Paul Girardi on No Thanks, which was like you beat the Uber guy at that.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Oh man. Trying to forget it. All right, so that's the news. Next up, some of the acquisition disorders that are starting to kick up. We're getting to that time of year. It's going to start happening. Acquisition Disorder Corner. All right, so what games are on the radar, guys? What do we want?
Card Wars. Adventure Time.
What is this Card Wars you speak of?
Yeah, I saw it on the. I think we were talking on Monday. I was like, oh, I think it's on the App Store. You're like, going home, downloading it now.
That night I downloaded it immediately. And I made sure I flew to my pig when my opponent had his Cornhusker Knights. And I also got to use my Mouth Ball, which was awesome, and my Cerebral Bloodstorm. Basically, Card Wars, it's an incredibly basic card game. You're going to have a couple of zones that have, like, types. Like, in Magic, you play a plains or an island. In this, you have a strip that's, a cornfield, or a strip that's a swamp, or whatever. And then there's creatures that can go in those lanes. And some creatures can go in any of them. You have buildings that you can do, so you can like put down like like the Celestial Temple in the background, and that'll give your guys like more defense. And it's just basically like a slugfest back and forth, like low hit point, easy deck management, but just the cards are hysterical. And and they actually announced, this was fantastic. Originally it was going to be just Jake versus Finn. They already have the second deck coming out the same day, and it's going to be Lady Rainicorn versus BMO.
I saw that. That's great.
Now, if you've never seen Adventure Time, you owe it to yourself to start watching Adventure Time, because the show is hilarious. And BMO is the best.
I've never really quite got into it, but it does look. I mean, the little bit I've seen was funny. And I know it's coming soon because they had it in New York. Complete Strategist.
It just released.
I didn't know if you guys had already pre-ordered it, so I didn't want to grab it. But yeah.
Yeah, it's not only did we pre-order it, we also got a copy coming in for our friend Paula, because when we were in the store, we were playing Spartacus. And just like I was like, we might have to lighten the mood a little, because like somebody just got murdered, somebody got betrayed. So I was playing an episode of Adventure Time on my phone, and from across the store I hear, "Yo, is that Adventure Time?" And she started like dancing to the theme song because she loves the show so much. So I'm like, I think this is someone that'll like that game.
Yeah, probably.
But it's also based on that clip from the show, right?
Yeah, it's the exact like in the show. It's like it was basically like spoofing on Magic. But, he's like, oh, I'm attacking with my Cornhusker Knights. And when Jake is like, oh, well, Finn is like, well, I'm going to floop the pig to block. And he just starts laughing. He's like, you're a noob. You don't floop to block. and then he's like, yeah, but it says here I can floop the pig to weaken your Cornhuskers. He's like, wait, what? And it was hilarious. Like, when I saw that episode, I was actually crying laughing. It was so good.
That's great.
It's like, I was like, I've been there. I know that. So
it's about as meta as you can get, though.
Oh,
it's a meta
absolutely.
show, and then they make the game out of the show, making fun of another game.
And the show is just, oh my god, so good. But just to know that, Cryptozoic is making it. The Penny Arcade deck builder was good. They made the DC deck builder. I'd still love to see that second DC deck builder. I'm seeing ads in every magazine. Gimme. I want to use the lantern rings.
Sure.
But yeah, this thing is going to be awesome. And the fact that you're going to be able to actually customize your deck if you want. So it's $20 to get the 2 decks. Mm-hmm. But say you actually genuinely start really liking this game, you can just pick up a second starter and then customize. Yeah. So that's pretty awesome.
That's cool. I look forward to playing it.
Yeah, it's like a very financially manageable, customizable card game. So, that's going to be beyond fun. I can't wait for that thing.
Awesome.
I call dibs on BMO every game.
Yeah, my eye's been lately on a couple of these big collector's editions that are being announced. Ticket to Ride just announced, like Days of Wonder just announced the 10th anniversary edition of Ticket to Ride.
Looks awesome.
It's it's double the price of the normal base game, but it's like you get so much stuff.
It's bigger. It's a larger board.
Bigger board.
Different art, I think.
Full-size cards, because the original still comes with those tiny, stupid Fantasy Flight size cards, and you have to buy the expansion to make them bigger. Okay. So now it comes with the full-size cards. Like individualized train cars, so everybody has their own. So now it's actually colorblind friendly,
and the
which
trains
is cool.
Come in tins too. Like that's how you keep each player's train separate. It's not like trays. It's actually like a little tin of a train.
That's awesome. So the storage is easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it actually has so it's like a whole almost a faction, right? There's like a circus train and there's the coal train. So
Well, they match the cards now, because the cards have different trains on them for each color, and now the colors that the players have will match those.
And and I think they said like a different art on the board, or something like that.
It's gotta be at least upgraded.
Yeah, I think so. It's a bigger board, so probably it's.
Yeah, and I think didn't they say it comes with like one like 1916 or something?
Well, the 1910 has the larger cards, and that's what they talked about having additional to this.
Okay, cool.
But it must also have the new routes, because when you play the original game, you could just basically lose Ticket to Ride based upon not getting the good
routes you
routes.
pull, yeah.
But the new version, the 1910, 1916, actually had the new routes to it, which kind of balanced things out a lot.
I would imagine 1910 is in there because it's kind of
It has to be.
At this point, it's one of those things, like if you buy Ticket to Ride, you have to buy 1910. You need
do.
the bigger cards, you need the routes, you need the extra victory conditions.
Sure.
And it's just, yeah. So, like, it's one of those games that I keep meaning to pick up and I haven't gotten around to it yet. I'll probably get this version.
And Days of Wonder does such a great job with their games. The components are always amazing. I've never played a Days of Wonder game and just been like, the components are always just outstanding.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. So I think that comes out, it says Q2. I saw somewhere it said June.
This is going to be huge.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm borderline whether I should pre-order it, because if it sells out, I'll be kind of annoyed.
I think you should pre-order it.
Yeah.
Because I think it definitely is one of those games that it has such a huge following, and I'm guessing the game is not going to cost a lot more than the original, but it's just a must-have if you're a fan of Ticket to Ride, or if you haven't picked it up yet. I thought about picking it up too, just for my family, because it's such an easy, approachable game, and having the actual cars will actually make it more family-friendly.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and it's definitely a game I know my family would like. So
maybe I'll just borrow yours.
yeah, have it.
And that's the thing. Like we still have yet to play Ticket to Ride,
I know, I can't imagine.
and I'm like, I was thinking about pre-ordering it just because that'll be it. You know, like once that's out, if you don't get in on that sweep, you may not see it again.
Probably not. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was another game we played for the tournament, the Ticket to Ride.
Yeah.
That was a great game for a tournament because that was incredibly tense.
Yeah. We kind of made fun of it a little bit at first, but then once we played it, it was like, this is a good tournament game.
This is a really good tournament game. I mean, you really could indirectly or purposely kind of block people out, and and we played 3 rounds of that? I think, was it 2 or 3?
I think we played 3 rounds in a final.
Yeah, and then I pulled it out, but it was by only a couple of points, and
2. Yeah, it was really close.
and that's what you really want to have.
Yeah.
You know, you really want to, because I remember at the end I was like, can we count if I do this or that, because it's a matter of 2 or 3 points.
Yeah, it's a fun game. I play it on the iPad all the time because you can get through a game in 8 minutes.
Yeah.
And there's all the achievements.
Well, that was your mistake, because I didn't play the game, so therefore I won.
Well, yeah, that was
like
it
any,
actually.
Like any tournament game, just don't own it and you win.
That's awesome. So I'm probably gonna get that. It's not even like I wanted. It's probably gonna get
it's gonna be bought by somebody.
Yeah. And the one other thing that's kind of sweet too is because I think the MSRP on that's $100, right? Pre-order is $70 on a lot of onlines.
Yeah, well, that's one of the reasons too. I'm thinking about it because the base game's $50. Usually it's $40 online, so it's an extra $30 for all that stuff. It's kind of worth it.
Yeah. Just the other reason I was thinking too is, like I said, we play a lot of games with my sister.
Sure.
The bigger board and stuff like that.
The
might
bigger
make it
board, the less abstract it is, and plus you don't have to buy the expansion because it's already in there.
Yeah.
Why not? And the quality of the components is just amazing.
I feel like you might even get someone to be like, "Oh, you want to play again? Oh yeah, I'll play. I haven't used Red yet," just because something like that.
Yeah,
you know,
they look different.
Another excuse to get to the table.
And another thing too, there's a great app for Ticket to Ride where you can kind of count the trains.
Yeah.
Which that's usually kind of really, when you see the board set up, you're like, but actually it's really simple with the app, and it actually makes the train sounds when you push to count up the trains. So it's pretty fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always a lot of fun.
Hey, cool stuff. Put a pre-order in now, people. Sell out.
I know. Well, then I need another $30. Yeah, the other big collector's edition, you just showed this to me yesterday,
Sure.
is Takedo's going to hit a Kickstarter soon, right?
Yeah, so just got really grateful to get, actually Anthony got me Takedo for my birthday yesterday, and then I was like, oh, this is awesome. Let me look into all the different components and things for FunForge, which is the company that produces it. And as I'm looking it up, they're like, oh, Takedo, oh, there's going to be an app, so that's pretty awesome. There's going to be a collector's edition. You get out of here. So actually, on February 26th, Takedo's releasing a collector's edition. It's going to have improved graphics, new character artwork, 16 ultra detailed minis, and I know this is going to drive Earl nuts. It's going to have an exclusive soundtrack on CD for the game, because Earl's one of our friends at Mirai Games. He always puts on some sort of Japanese kind of background music. So clearly they're stealing Earl's $1 million ideas now. So they kind of expand as far as that's concerned. And it's going to have, and I know Dan's going to like this, 50 metal coins.
Yeah, and they look really, really nice.
So check that out. It's going to kickstart February 26th. Pick up the online game. Take a look at the collector's edition. There's no details yet about how much it's going to cost, but it looks pretty good. And it's definitely worth painting, too.
Yeah. Yeah. If the price is not ridiculous, I'll probably get this.
Sure.
The price is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's always
You know, it's still just a game.
But this is also interesting too. I mean, we've seen this with a couple of games like War of the Ring, that the games do so well that the companies are now just producing collector's editions for the game, which is amazing and interesting. It really hits your acquisition disorder really hard.
I know, and it's hard because sometimes the collector's edition's out for like 6 months, it sells out, you never see it again, and sometimes it's just permanently available. So you want to rush to get it, but you don't want to.
It's true. You don't want to step in that trap, and then you're paying $50 more than you really had to pay.
Yeah, and they're not going to tell us.
No,
buy it.
Well, Tokonoko, where had that big wooden box version with the panda's like 4 inches tall.
Yeah.
So that they came out with that really quickly. I think maybe 6 months after the initial release, and that was passed around amongst a lot of game reviewers. So
yeah, and you can still get it, I think.
Well, I'm sure they're going to be sent to us at some point.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because we have to review it. So that awesome wooden box with the giant pieces.
I think we need to review it.
I think so.
I think if anybody from that company is listening, they should send us again.
I just like the idea of having to push together 2 tables to have enough room to play the game.
Like some of these gigantic games.
It's like bamboo that's actually kind of like bamboo. You could actually use it.
Yeah, right.
Because the pieces are so big, you could kind of put it together.
All right, so that's some of the cool stuff we're looking at. Next up, we're going to look at some of the games we've been playing lately. Again, 2 weeks, so we got a ton of stuff in.
So what's hitting the table?
At the table this week. All right, guys, what have we been playing lately?
Well, one thing we got to do is our first big game of Terra Mystica with 5 players.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, having played the big game, I love that too. I don't think the 2-player game is lesser, but the 5-player game was awesome. It was cool just like trying to finagle, like, all right, well, if I squeeze in this space and then I see you terraform something, I'm like, no, I gotta make sure I get that. Like,
yeah, there's definitely more urgency, especially on the Cult board.
That was
I saw a
the
lot of
thing, too.
urgency. It was like,
The Cold Board was crazy.
yeah,
Yeah.
we were racing on that.
and it was great seeing like power shifting. Like, like at one point somebody would be in the lead in the cult track. One full turn later, they're now in 3rd place on the cult track. And the towns became a lot more priority because you wanted to cinch that top spot.
Yeah.
Like it was one of the few times we saw people breaking the gates because you had to.
Yeah, and those tokens too, like when you built the
God's favors.
yeah, the God's Favor tokens.
Yeah.
Those were like there was a couple times where I'm like, oh, I need this one, and someone else had already bought
It
it.
was already empty.
Yeah, in a 2-player game, that's not really going to happen as often. So.
Yeah.
And you're almost in a 2-player game, like one people are going for the cold track, and the other one's doing for the terraforming, and everyone's kind of left alone. And like we're gonna see who's gonna race there. Here it was just like everything was in competition.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like more players is more competition. Single players like trying to refine technique, like finding out how to like really do what you can do most with that race.
Yeah.
So the game still offers tons. And we ordered 2 add-ons for ourselves. We'll post in the show notes a link. I want to make sure I get it definitely right. There's these acrylic boards that go over the player boards that'll hold all your pieces in place.
Oh, cool.
And then the top right is an adjustable snap-on piece. Because I don't know if you noticed, like the Hill Giants, it's always 2 to terraform.
Yeah.
So they don't have a track to go up. So they don't have that cutout for them. Likewise, the Mermaids have 5 as the top seafaring because they start out with an initial 1. So they have additional spaces for their seafaring track. So, I mean, it's really awesome that somebody put this work into this game.
Yeah.
You get 5 acrylic sheets for about $28. And then the other thing is Board Game Geek recently just got the additional towns on their store. So I already ordered my copy, so I don't mind mentioning it, because at least I know mine will come in before they get sold out. But check that Board Game Geek store, because if you like this game, those additional towns are awesome. One of them has it where you get 2 keys, only 2 victory points, but you also get 2 in each of the elemental tracks.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's huge. 'Cause
That's
that's really
fun.
hard to push.
Like, like you're only getting 2 for the town, and there's one town that gives like straight out 11. It does nothing else but give you 11 victory points. That could be the town that's a cinch at the end. You might even just say, hey, I'll just take the 2 points because now I just climbed ahead of you. Like, you might only get 6 points on that elemental track, but if you cut someone down 6,
So tell me more about the plexiglass. How does that kind of work?
it's great. It just perfectly lays over, and it has cutouts for each of your buildings.
Okay.
So this way, you remember like when I was showing you and I accidentally tapped the board and you just were like, oh no. You don't have to worry about that anymore.
Sure.
Well, I mean, if you smack it, yeah. But
Yeah, like a
it'll-
light bump, though, doesn't like knock everybody's pieces loose.
But it's perfectly cut out to where all the buildings are and the shifting of power, so you know where everything is. It's, sometimes like the houses get a little grouped up and you think you get 4 workers,
Sure.
but you don't.
It's true because the little player boards, it gets a mess really quickly.
Yeah.
And just depending on like, I think Mike had that at one point, like his things were just like
Slightly
a
shifted.
quarter of an inch to the right, and it threw off the scoring for that.
Yeah. So it'll be like, it'll just neaten out your board, and it even has like cutouts for like the sliding the tracks of power. That's really cool.
That's amazing. But once again, I got to go back to that should have been there originally.
Yeah. Because for a game that's already $80, I think
This is what I'm saying. I mean, if it was a $50, $60 game, I would say I would understand, like, hey, we made a mistake or we couldn't fit everything good in it. But, I mean, if you've played in these major heavy Euro kind of board games, one tap of the table and it's over.
Yeah.
You might as well just start all over again. So they needed to have something a little more organized with the graphic design, especially, and not to mention the components were just kind of iffy. So I'm glad they're kind of rectifying that at a cost, unfortunately.
And one thing that's cool is they actually have an expansion on the way with 2 more races. The beauty of that top right part being like a snap out piece is if the other races also have different styles, they'll just make those 2 pieces as something you can buy separate.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
So this way you don't have to buy a whole new set of boards just, to get that little extra.
That's great. It's going to make a great game.
Yeah. I mean, we played 2. We played 5. I like 2 still. I don't feel like it weakened it. I think I still want to get this for home.
Yeah,
So.
it's.
I think 5 was so much better. I think
It's a better game, yeah,
It's
but I don't think 2 suffers as much as some people say it does.
I think 2 you're just playing your own game because I mean why contest certain call tracks or
Yeah.
why
Like 2-player, it's like 2-player is a great way to really learn the race. Like find out, because like since every race play is different, you're really finding out. Oh, cool. All right, this works a little better for the deep dwarves.
Sure,
or this,
I agree.
And then when you're playing that 5-player game, it's like any of the deep games where it's like, all right, now that I know that this and this like team up to this, or this is a good way for power shift. Like now when you're playing like the 4 and 5 players, you're like, all right, I know the deep dwarves. I know what to do now. Like,
shouldn't it be like more of a variant for the 2-player where like a number of the god tokens are taken off, so maybe it's just one
Yeah.
of each.
Yeah,
That kind of
that'd
make
be
it,
better.
make it a little tighter.
and that's the beauty of house ruling. Like you can just do that where it's like, all right, we're only using one of each god favorite, one of each town tile.
Yeah, because then that way it makes it a little more.
It gives the
True to the
multiplayer
game.
thread without,
Yeah.
It gives a little more trueness to the game. Or like, we're going to stay in this section. This is a 2-player section. You'll stay in this main area so that there's a little more conflict on as far as that's concerned.
Yeah, just put a phone book on half the board too. Like basically just play short board.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And like I said, they should have had a 2 or 3-player game board on one side and the 4 and 5 on the other, but it's pretty neat.
Now, a quick side note with like when we're talking about the Tokaido Special Edition and the larger board for Ticket to Ride, how great it would be if there was a Terra Mystica where the tiles were the size of Battlelore.
Yeah.
The board is 74 by 86 inches, and it's gigantic.
That's a good question. I mean, the game has been selling really well. That game would be awesome as a collector's edition.
Yeah.
Have like, and almost like, I think Citadels of Catan has this on one of their versions where it's like the terrain is actually terrain. So it'd be nice to be able to like pop out of terrain and put your terrain in and actually had a physical 3-dimensional kind of look to it.
Like I'm at that point where like I saw an awesome like Reaper minis guy like that was like a dark priest or something. I was tempted to buy like 6 of those, just for my priest instead of the meeples. Like yes, this is awesome. Right?
That's when you know you've hit a new level with a game, though. Like, you like it that much, you're like, I'm replacing components. I'm going to spend $300 on this game.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so Kim, there's one game that you have started converting everyone at the store to play.
Not everyone.
You got like a
but
dozen people to play it so
I had a
far.
couple of people. I like this game a lot. It's the Pathfinder card game. If you love Pathfinder, you'll probably like this game. The only thing I want to warn you guys is it has no role-playing aspect to it. It's just you're going into towns, you're looting, you're fighting monsters, villains, henchmen, but there's no role-playing, no DM to tell you the backstory of anything. But it is really fun. You should at least try it once. And if you don't like it, that's fine, but it's...
And like also with you said like no role playing. I mean we've even kind of made up our own stuff at some point.
Oh, yeah.
Where like like no landslide, we need the rogue, bring him over. Like
Yeah, but, yeah, I mean, we even be like, come over to this town, has more loot in it. You know, it's.
I liked when me and Nick were both the mages, and we're like, "You guys go fight. We're just standing at the library, and we're ransacking every spell that this place has." We were literally watching them die. And we're like, "I'm gonna get acid ball sooner or later."
And then when a creature came out, you're like, "Oh, we need help."
Yeah, it's like, "Oh, it's immune to magic."
It's like I can't
Well, this
hear
is
you.
bad.
I can't hear you in this town over here. You should have stuck with the group.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this a while back. When I first tried it, I wasn't really too wowed by it. But after playing it, I mean, I don't know if it's the legacy aspect, because the cool thing is, like, Kim's played it multiple times so far.
Played more than you.
Yeah, you
Weird.
played it like 10, 12 times already.
I even played a solo game, which is actually, like, it's not as sad as it sounds. But it's like, it is pretty cool because I get to try out new characters, see what they do. But now I know when I do solo adventures, never go in as a cleric or wizard, just fighter.
Yeah, like paladin, barbarian, stuff like that.
I did the cleric and I got destroyed.
Downside is like one thief trap. It's like, and I'm dead.
I got no weapons. How am I gonna do this?
Yeah.
So have you had a chance to play like legacy style yet, or are you just still showing everybody
we've
how to play?
been doing like we're on.
Scenario.
Yeah,
one.
we're doing the full scenario, and then we're actually starting the actual Rise of the Rune Lords adventure path. So this is what's cool. Like an RPG setup, you can do a one shot where you just choose one scenario, one style. You can do like a continual, which is like just like 2 or 3 of the scenario styles, and then they actually have the full adventure path where there's 6 objectives. So at the end of each adventure, you get a reward of some type, and then at the end of the full scenario, you get an additional reward to go with that.
And you can even build up your deck. You can add more weapons if it applies to whatever character you're doing. And also at the end of like each scenario, you can just trade items with people, or just like, hey, do you want this? I don't need it. Sure, I'll take it.
Yeah.
The only thing I have to say though is, it's weird, but I get it for what it is if you fail at a check to pick up an item, it goes away. So it's like, you're walking into town, oh look, there's a sword on the floor. Well, I can't roll a strength 10. I guess I'm just gonna leave it there.
I know what you're saying. Like we do like kind of like a house rule where if you don't pick it up, you can choose to leave it there to just have someone else come and get it. I think the only reason like the book tells you to get rid of it is because you're on that clock.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why it's weird, but I get it, because you have a timer.
I'm sorry. I just heard the scenario of the king is screaming at you.
Yeah.
How could you let those bandits escape? You don't understand, man. That sword is awesome. I had to walk all the way to the caves to pick it up. Then I had to go back to the swamp to fight your bandits.
Kim, you had one job.
This kingdom is falling apart so you can get a 2d6 sword. Sorry, man. I'm an adventurer.
It's a really pretty sword.
You'll notice that I'm not a hero. I'm an adventurer. I do what's good for me.
But if you're heavy into the role playing aspect, I don't think you'll like this game. Because I had a player or two that played it, and I was like, Pathfinder but no role playing. It's weird. And it's like, if you think about it, it's like more like a video game type, like playing Skyrim. You're just like, fighting monsters, looting.
Instant gratification. So
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm saying, like, because Chris, like, we probably played, like, what, like a dozen deck builders or so?
Oh, sure.
I want you to take a stab at it just because I love that element of.
Take a stab at
You see what
it.
I did there? Like, oh, cool, I got these items. All right, I'm ditching my mace, so now I have a piercing weapon. Because what's cool is they do incorporate RPG elements, like skeletons. If you're using a piercing or slashing weapon, it's harder to hit them.
Sure.
And like even spells. This is what's awesome. Like, you can have a spell in your deck as a fighter, but if you cast it, it's like if you don't have arcane, discard this card at the end. So you kind of picture in your head like it's a scroll. Like your guy can use the scroll once and then it's gone forever. But if you give it to the wizard, he can write it in his book. Mm-hmm. So it does a cool job. Like even like heavy weapons, it's like if you're not trained in melee, it's harder to hit. So you can hit hard, but if you're a mage or a cleric using a weapon you shouldn't, it's that much harder to hit. So they do a cool like balancing act. Like daggers don't have it, but longswords do.
How often would you say you die in this game? Or how
Not that often.
I got nixed out one game because I was just going really aggressive.
Sure.
And I got like blown out one round. Like, because what happens is you lose as many cards from your hand as you take damage.
Sure.
Wizards have a huge hand. Downside was I got hit for 7, had 6 cards. My whole hand was wiped out. When I drew up, I had 1 card left in my deck.
See, that's why when you go into towns, it's good to have more than one person in a town, because when you fight monsters, they can help you. Items, they can't help you, but the monsters, they can help you. But the only thing is, when you're adventuring, exploring towns, just be wary of what you have in your hand, because that's your life. And if your deck runs out, you die.
But what is good, though, is if you have a hand of 4 cards, if you get hit for 11 damage, you just lose the 4 cards in your hand.
Okay.
It's not like you get totally blown out.
Yeah, yeah. I want to try it if we're going to play it in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, it's definitely snazzy. I like it a lot, man.
Cool.
I went from, this game is terrible, to, I'll try it someday.
I thought it was funny, yeah.
I want to play it. All right, I'm going to get it.
Because when they got like a demo kit in like 6 months ago at Myriad. No, before that.
We looked at that. We went through.
Yeah, it was like last summer. It was pre-Gen Con. And we were like, awesome, Pathfinder and a deck builder, and there's dice.
Order me 5 of everything. I don't want this game.
And then 6 months later, I love it more than everything.
And the best thing is that...
And then at the end,
and the best thing is when I was picking it up at our local Myriad, like Paul was like, I said, Paul, do you have any promos for the game? He's like, yeah, I got 2 different blessings. All right, yeah, I'll buy it today. That's
all it takes.
Promos, I'm in.
You're an easy mark.
Pretty much.
That's awesome.
It's bad when he has my credit card number memorized.
Yeah.
He's like, the usual, tick, 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 tick.
we did that, Mr. Smithers. Yes, excellent. Excellent.
All right. We got a few other games we played, and they're all kind of like small, quick ones that we've gotten in the last couple weeks. The first one is this. I actually didn't even know this was coming out, and I didn't even reserve it. You reserved it for me, and I was like, sweet.
I knew.
And then I bought it. Is the expansion for Boss Monster, Tools of Hero Kind.
Now, is that literally the smallest box for expansion ever?
It's so awesome, though. Like, it's
a GBA cartridge.
Yeah.
It looks like an old Game Boy cartridge or box for the cartridges, and I don't remember how big those boxes were. I think they're a little bigger than this, but it looks like it, and it goes really well with
it's
the.
It's just big enough to fit a deck of cards.
Yeah, it's actually too big. They have this little insert inside.
Sure.
And you pick it up and you're like, there's nothing in here. You open it, there's nothing in here. But it's funny because you get 26 cards. It's $10. At first you might kind of balk at it, but these
That's not
26.
bad at all, though. $10. I mean.
No, I mean it's fine for an expansion. And online I think it's $6. So whatever.
Yeah, but then you're paying 5 shipping.
Yeah, but it adds so much to the game that it's absolutely worth it.
Yeah.
So basically what it is you're getting items for the heroes. So if you've played the game, you know that the heroes are kind of like the first half of the game. They're just regular heroes before they become epic heroes.
Yeah, they're just like meat. Destroy a dungeon.
The first hero anybody pulls will deal damage, and everything after that until you reach the epic heroes, nothing. Because nobody's going to burn their cards on you early, their spells, to make them hurt you. And even if they could, it's not going to do anything. The items actually make the heroes are kind of hard to kill. So, and there's a good 20 items in here, and they're all hilarious too, which is awesome. Like, you got things in here like, oversized sword, Claw of the Berserker, Vorpal Blade, a couple other really funny ones, the Necronomicon, Ice Rod. Where's the funny ones?
Well, it was the Konami code.
Yeah, the cheat code.
The cheat code.
And it has it up, up, down, down, left, right, left, right.
That's amazing. It's so cool.
Bag of Holding, the 10-foot pole.
Yes, which is a total Dungeons and Dragons, the cartoon from the 80s.
Yeah.
Kind of throwback.
Yeah, the Holy Hand Grenade.
Holy Hand Grenade. You got to have the Holy Hand Grenade.
Awesome. Ring of Invisibility, and then it's got basically Gollum on the card. So the cards are awesome, but they're also they're hardcore. 10-foot pole. Choose a trap room in any dungeon. Deactivate that room until end of turn. When a hero enters this dungeon, deactivate the first trap in your dungeon. So if it's early in the game, that's like half your damage. Yeah. So a regular hero could ding you.
Let me check out a couple of these. Yeah, because a table next to us was actually playing this game while me and Chris were playing our 8-bit game of Pixel Tactics. But yeah, I mean, some of the stuff is historical, and I love that it's like, if you beat down that hero, now you got a bonus.
And that's the cool thing.
High risk reward.
It's not just, hey, the heroes are harder now. It's that if you beat them, if you actually hurt them, you get to take that item, and you can only have one item at a time. So if you already have one and you haven't used it yet, you have to choose. You can't just have 5 items and then start bashing people with them. But
I think Oversized Sword is my favorite.
that's a good one, yeah.
You actually hear like the Final Fantasy music.
Yeah.
Look at the card.
It's the Buster Sword.
And it really does change the game because early on you're just looking to pick up heroes. So when you build your dungeons, you're looking to build multiples of whatever that sign is that you're trying to attract the heroes. And then when we saw the heroes come out with the items, we were like, probably not a good idea to try to get those guys.
Star of Invulnerability, and he's taking out like Myconoids. That's fantastic.
Yeah, the cards in the original game are funny. There are a lot of good video game
Oh,
references.
yeah.
These ones are like
These are better.
legitimately hilarious.
These are better.
Like they got, I don't know if they just
Yeah.
had some ideas that came up after the original was released, and
I think it was one of those things like, we didn't get sued. Now let's kind of push that.
yeah, we're gonna push it. Yeah.
Either that, or it's like, oh well, people appreciate like when we're doing this, and once they saw the positive response, they're like, green light, let's go nuts.
Yeah, yeah. What I want to kind of see with these is like themed expansions. Now this is a little themed. You know, you got all the different kinds of items, but you could actually pull from specific types of games, like say Zelda, and just do a ton of Zelda tropes, or Elder Scrolls and just a bunch of jokes about Elder Scrolls in one expansion. I don't know how far they can push it before they get past that 8-bit, 16-bit look, into the modern games, but there's a lot of good old stuff you could work with.
It would be nice to like if you did that to have have a deck of like I said, the villains in the dungeons that actually match, and have the heroes that actually match, so it's kind of like completely thematic instead of just kind of random.
Yeah, it is a little random now, but
One thing I was thinking of too is like I would love to see like an expansion down the road if your dungeon can have a split path. Like if you can make 2 paths and the hero will take whatever's better for them.
Sure.
Because like think about the warp levels in old games or the secret door. Like it would be awesome if your heroes and then your opponents choose what the hero do. Where it's like, okay, well seeing as how that'll do 11, he's gonna go down here, or something. That would be awesome.
yeah. There's so many things they could do with this, and I like what they did with this first one. I feel like it was a good idea, and they didn't even go for a full expansion. Like, it's not a huge expansion. It's not a game changer. It's one new element, but it adds a lot.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's, if you have the base game, it's a buy without a doubt.
Easily.
And if you're gonna buy the base game, pick up the expansion because I think it just makes the game so much better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you're picking up, there's no reason not to get this instantly.
I think you
cool.
have to get this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just for the box alone.
The box is awesome. Yeah. Like, normally with a game like this, I would just sleeve those, dump them in the base box, and toss this.
You gotta
but I'm
keep
gonna
the
That's
box.
so adorable. Yeah, that
It's
thing is
such a
like
cool
beyond
little box.
adorable.
Yeah. We'll put a picture up, too, because it's awesome if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, we have pictures on all our little games that we pop up on the cast, so this is definitely one you want to keep.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So if you have Boss Monster, buy this. If you're gonna pick up Boss Monster, toss this in the cart too, because Boss Monster's what, $30, $25.
Something like that, yeah.
So definitely a buy.
Now, one other 8-bit style game that Chris and I got to play was Pixel Tactics. And it's a game that's only 15 minutes. Our game was a slugfest. It took us like 35 minutes. We killed everything of each other's. Pixel Tactics, you have 3 lines of the board. And each turn, the attacker will take 2 actions for his front line. Opponent does the same. You go to the next line, 2 actions, 2 actions. You go to the last line, 2 actions, 2 actions. Then you pass the attacker to your opponent, rinse and repeat. What you can do is as an action, you can draw a card, remove a corpse, play a card, shift your people around, or activate an ability. And it's like a really simple game. It's adorable. Each unit does something different based on their line, or if you play them as an action card. So like one guy might be like, every time you attack, draw a card. And then on the second line, as an action, draw 2 cards. And then the last one will be like, draw 2 cards and replace one on the bottom of your deck. And then as an action, he's like, draw 3 cards. So it's like, this guy's like definitely a seer type character, but it shows through. And the coolest thing is you flip the card over and it shows them as a hero.
Yeah, the bottom side of it. Yeah.
And Chris's was mean as could be. It should have just been like an infernal demon or something, because it's every time one of his guys died, he healed and did a permanent additional point of damage.
Ooh.
So at the end of the game, he was hitting for 28, and most units have about 6 hit points. So we were saying they weren't dying; they were just exploding into mist and bones. And then, like, my guy's special ability was healing people, but it didn't matter once you got hit for 28. Get me tape; I'll put them back together. So at the end of our game, it came down to, I figured out I can do like 6 damage every turn, and he can do enough to kill anything. So we counted out how many cards I had left, and we just did the math like, okay, can I kill you in 5 turns? All right, cool. It's like,
That's awesome.
but yeah,
It was just down like the 1 or 2, like you would have held that by 1 or 2 rounds at the end, which was hilarious because she's like overpowered, but she's still gonna lose.
And that's it. Like, I don't know if it's because like, you know, you play like a lot of heavy Euros, so you were like, all right, like let me try this out instead.
Sure.
But it was like, most people would just be like, oh cool, I attack with my archer, and Chris is like, okay, I'm gonna constantly push these people in the front, so you have to murder them. He's like, nobody means anything, but he's like, as long as the leader lives, I live, right? Cool, okay, you die. I hit for 20.
We just literally need like a D20 just to keep, and it's like, oh, that's not enough.
Yeah, because we were using chits, and like he couldn't even read his guy anymore, so we broke out a D20, and I'm like, why do you have the symbol up top? And he's like, well, because I'm doing 20 now. I'm like, I'm sorry.
What?
Can you repeat? And then I looked over, he had no cards left. I'm like, this is berserk. But assuming that you don't go like panting, sweating, bodies everywhere Battlefield, it's like normally a quick game.
If you say so.
Unless you play the Master Tactician.
Unless you play against me.
He played the 8-bit Sun Tzu, the Art of Pixel War.
Yeah, so what like Dan was saying, the great thing about the game is each card has a main hero that you can choose to play as, or you spin the card around, and that card would then have a special ability depending on where you place it, whether it's the first row, the second row, or the third row. So it really has that strategic kind of like, where do I want to place this to get the best value from that card?
And I remember, like, in your back line, you had, like, the Deceiver or something, which every turn, like, when instead of attacking, he makes you discard a card.
Just discard a card.
That was rough.
Yeah, hand management's a big thing in this game.
Yeah, because, like, if I used an action to draw the card, I had to play it before Chris got to his back line, otherwise I would never see it again.
Mm-hmm. Sure. And when the cards run out, the game ends. So I ran out of...
Yeah,
I ran out of meat shields.
All that was left was your hero, just like I said, you know, like wading through bodies.
Sure.
But and the cool thing between the decks is like you'll see like similar units. Like you both have the same sides, but we each had a werewolf in our deck. But mine was like, you know, like Alexander, you know, whatever, Belmont or something, and his was like Lucia Belmont. So it was cool that they were two different people from the same family because they're both werewolves.
Oh yeah.
You know, and stuff like that. Yeah, and like, so it's cool. Like, you know, the cards, like the medic on your like the one player's deck is the same as the medic on the others, but the hero is like sometimes a little different. Mm-hmm. So that was pretty awesome. And they actually have Pixel Tactics and Pixel Tactics 2 out, and they look like old 8-bit like Nintendo game boxes. Like, you know, they have the lines on the side and the style art.
Yeah.
It's definitely cool, and it's like a $15 game.
It's not bad.
Yeah, and it actually, the instructions are, like, it's this gigantic poster of instructions, but that's because on the back is a play mat if you want to use that.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so it was really cool. You know, like, and the damage counters, what's really sweet is they're just like Summoner Wars, where one side is a 1 and the other side is a 3. So, you know, you can even double up and use them between games if you want.
Yeah, I think there's honestly infinite replayability with this game. It's crazy. And it's I guess the game we played was really long, so I'd like to see if we can play a short game.
Yeah. We got to use, like, not the greatest heroes art. And, well, and the other thing, too, is, like, you'll notice it seems like everything is overpowered, and because it's meant to be a quicker game.
Yeah.
So that's pretty sweet. The one thing I sometimes worry about, though, is, like, this game is awesome, Boss Monster is awesome. I saw that game, like, Pixel Lincoln, I kind of want to try that, because, like, I heard, like, a lot of stuff from it through, like, Flip the Table. Like, they mentioned it a lot on their older episodes when it was being kickstarted. I'm afraid of the 8-bit becoming the next Zombie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I love the 8-bit. It goes back to, you know, playing video games as a kid. It does get a little tiring. I mean, you know, after, you know, if you're sitting down playing a game for a half hour, an hour, it's like, it's kind of getting blurry. They're really boxy. It's like, yeah. I thought I bought games for really cool artwork, and it's just like, this is cute, but not for hours.
It has to be like the quick game.
It has to be a quick game, because it's like, it loses its nostalgia. It's like, wow, this is awesome. I don't want to play 4 of these in a row because it just kind of like all blurs together, and it's like, you know, especially some of the other games have amazing artwork, and it's like, this is cute for a couple minutes, but
like if someone released a war game like Battlelore,
and then
it's going, like 8-bit war games, like,
that's gonna happen though.
Of course, that's what I'm saying. It's like, I worry when that moment comes. It's like, I don't love the thing I love anymore. It's like real sad.
It's like the same thing like Minecraft. You know, it's like, oh, this is great. Now I'm done.
It's hard to look at for 3 hours. Yeah. Well, for some people. Some people play that game for 42 hours, don't realize what day it is anymore.
I need one more achievement.
Hi, I'm Dan.
I have a problem.
And what's even sadder is one of the guys at our local game store, you know, my son Pete, he has every achievement in that game. So I'm like, I know you have 1,000-meter rail. I need to join your world. I want that. I don't want to build this. My brain hurts.
That's awesome. Oh yeah. So yeah, I gotta try that game out. That looks cool.
And now for the feature review.
All right, so the main review this week, Battlelore 2nd Edition. If you have not played the original Battlelore game, this is the 2nd edition. What ended up happening was Fantasy Fight picked up the license a few years ago from Days of Wonder. They put out a few things. They reskinned it for Battles of Westeros, and then they kind of ignored it for like 5 years. It kind of came out of nowhere last year when they decided they were going to reskin it, put it out in their Terranoth world. But the second they said that, we were super excited about it because we love all of the Runebound games.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, like, I mean, if you look, Descent, they have those lieutenant packs. They're making new expansions left and right. So the Terranoth world is doing huge for them.
Yeah, exactly. Which is why part of the reason I was so excited, because the Battlelore system is awesome. Like this, it's Command and Colors. It's Richard Borg, his Command and Color system, which is used in a few different games. But this one's a little watered down on that. It's not the full Command and Colors. It's a lot quicker. It finds ways to streamline the game. Like a full game, once you get the rules down, takes about 45 minutes, which is super quick for a war game. But it's like, for me, is the perfect time for a 2-player game. There's a lot of these really fantastic 2-player games that I just don't play because you don't want to go to a game store and sit down with just a 2-player game for 3 hours. So, and this is, I feel this is going to hit like the perfect time for that. And it's really fantastic the way it balances out. It's not super aggressive, it's not super defensive, there's not a lot of turtling, it's tactics, but it's not like overwhelming tactics.
And I like that it's a miniature combat game in a box, so you don't have to play somebody that bought their own army.
Exactly.
You build it then and there.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's going to be a ton of expansions for this game, which is, to me, is exciting because the minis are amazing, and we already know there's at least 2 other armies they can build, like probably tonight out of Rune Wars, and then there's 2 more beyond that are in the other games. But anyways, let's dive in and we'll describe how the game plays because it's super quick. It's awesome. All right, so Battlelore is a 2-player tactical war game between the humans and the Uthak Yalan.
Yeah, or Chaos Demons when we don't know how to pronounce it.
Which is every single time. We practiced that for 5 minutes. So there's 2 armies out of the box, and these, if you've played any other Runebound universe games, they should be familiar. It's actually the exact same sculpt set of Rune Wars. Both of these armies are in Rune Wars. So
it's larger and more detailed, which is cool.
Yeah, they are larger, which is awesome. The game is not like Rune Wars at all. It is like Battlelore. They have streamlined it a little bit, but the armies are the same, which is awesome because that means we can expect more. But the game itself is fairly simple. As I said, the setup is the most complicated part. Once you get into that, the game plays really fast. So after you choose your army, you're going to get a series of different decks related specifically to your side. There's only one shared deck in the game. That's the command deck. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to look through your scenario cards. You're going to choose a scenario, and both sides do it secretly. You can draw one if you want to make it random, or you can pick one. We've just been playing where you pick one because it doesn't really make a huge difference one way or the other. You both put them down, they face against each other, and then that's going to tell you how to build the board. On each of the scenario cards, it'll have different tiles that match different types of terrain. So there's hills, forests, buildings, water, bridges, different movement of water. And then they're all going to go on this big 3-section board. It folds out, it's huge. It's going to take up most of the table. It's broken into 3 sections, and whatever side you're looking at, you have the left flank, the center, and the right flank. You drop the tiles on the board based on what your scenario card tells you, and then you've built the board. Your scenario card is also going to have slightly colored spaces on it to match where you're allowed to place your units. So there will be red ones, there'll be blue ones, blue for the humans, red for the demons, and that's the only places you can deploy to. So it restricts you a little bit in terms of where you're deploying, but the cool thing is there are not enough spaces on the board to match the number of units you can build in your army, so you're actually going to deploy decoys as well. I'll get to that in a second. So after you've set up the board, you're going to start building your army. The game comes with 3 pre-built army cards, which are great if you're just learning the game. If you want to ignore those completely, the rule is basically you're building to 50 points. So each unit in the game has a point value. The infantry is 4 points. The elite units are 6. The mega awesome super elite unit, each side has one, is 8 points. And then any leftover points, you're going to get lore tokens. So you'll build up your army. And here's where it gets a little confusing the first time you're playing it, because the terminology matters a lot. A unit is the one card. So that's one unit on the board. For everything except for your big bad unit, that means 3 pieces. So when we say pieces, we're talking about the individual models. When we say unit, we're talking about the collection of 3 models. So a unit is not necessarily one piece on the board, it's 3. And so for every unit you play on the board, you're going to put down 3 pieces, which is why there's so many minis in the box. As you're building your army, you're going to put all your cards together. They have these tiny little cards that represent each unit that you've selected in your point build. Then you're going to take enough decoys to equal 18. You put them all face down on the board. You flip them over at the same time as each other. Then you replace all the cards with the actual plastic pieces. Then everything should be set up at that point. You can also throw out a command tent. She'll give you an extra 5 points in your build. But if your opponent takes the command tent from you during the game, they're going to get 2 victory points. So it's a little risky. You're basically selling, the chance of losing 2 victory points for that 5 extra points. So if you're super confident, it's good. If you're still learning the game, it might be good to hold that back a little bit for a while. Once the game starts, there are 2 types of cards. There's the command cards, and then there are the lore cards. We'll get to the lore cards a little bit later, because the command cards are about 90% of the game. The main phase is broken down into 4 steps, the first of which you play a command card, and the command card is going to... there are a few different kinds of command cards, but they're all pretty generic because they apply to both sides. A lot of them will say activate X units in X part of the board. So, for example, it might say activate 3 units in the center part of the board. So you can't move all your pieces at once. You're only going to activate the amount allowed by that card. So maybe you have 10 units on the board. At any given time, you're going to activate between 2 and 5 of them. So you can't move everything all at once. But it does give you different layers of strategy, because maybe you want to move the left flank one turn, kind of push the enemy over a little bit, and then move the center flank or center section up in the next turn. You can kind of plan out your turn a little bit, because you have multiple cards in your hand, and decide how you're going to play them over time. Whereas in a typical war game, maybe you're more complicated tactics, a lot of things going on. You're moving all these different units, deciding where you want to attack. This one, it really limits your options, and by limiting your options, it streamlines the game a lot. It pulls away a lot of that indecision that you might have otherwise, because you really only have a few options to choose from. Once you choose a command card, you'll indicate which units you're going to activate. Those activated units, during the order step, you can decide what you're going to do with them. So an activated unit can move and attack, if possible. You don't have to move an activated unit. It just means that they're now able to attack. And you don't have to attack with an activated unit. It just means that you're able to move it and or attack. So if you move 3 activated units, and that's all you can move, and none of them are in range to attack anything, you're done. That's all you can do, because you can't attack with a non-activated unit. At the same time, if you have, let's say, 3 archers, you activate all 3 archers, and you don't move them, you can still shoot with them because they are active. So it makes that step pretty quick, and it'll help you kind of determine where you're going to move your pieces throughout the game. Once you get to the attack step, you're going to declare your targets, and then you'll roll dice based on the number of dice that the card for that unit says you can roll. Most of them they all have between 2 and 4 dice. There are modifiers that you can get later that'll give you more dice, but usually it's between 2 and 4. You'll roll the dice, and then whatever comes up on the dice, they're not numbered, they just have like little symbols on them. So like, for example, if you have a strike, which is 2 swords, that's an automatic hit for any melee unit. Cleave, which is 1 sword, is a hit if you have all 3 pieces in your unit. If you've taken damage at any point, it's a miss. Pierce, which is a little bullseye, that's a hit with a ranged unit. Morale, which is a flag, that means they have to retreat. Lore, it's these little diamond tokens, means you take a lore token. And then heroic, which is a crown symbol. lets you do a special ability if that unit has a special ability, which is printed on their card. If you deal damage to somebody, they just take one of the pieces out of their unit. So it's a really easy way to keep track of damage. There's no damage tokens. It's just, you had 3 pieces, you took 1 damage, remove 1 piece. Simple. And again, once a piece becomes weak, it's harder for them to hit as a melee unit. If you attack somebody, they don't retreat, and they're still alive, they can counterattack in melee range. So it's another one of those things, like if you go up against a strong unit and you're not sure you can kill it, you got to be careful, because maybe they'll hit you back pretty hard. Now that brings us to the lore step. The lore cards kind of add the vast majority of intrigue to this game, because if you were just running up against each other and hitting each other back and forth, it'd be a pretty one-dimensional game. There's a lot of cool things in there with the command cards, and you can build your tactics, and the dice are going to make it a little random, but the lore cards really add a lot. They're basically magic. So you'll build up lore tokens in 2 ways, either from the dice rolls. Every time a lore token comes up on a die, you get a lore token. And at the end of every round, you can choose to take 2 lore tokens, or 1 card and 1 lore token. So you can build up a lot of lore over time, and then you can spend it to play these cards, which you draw from your own personal lore deck. Both sides have their own deck. They have their own spells. And then these things do all sorts of cool stuff. For the demons, for example, if you kill somebody on your opponent's side of the board and you play a card, you can get a victory point. The humans have the same kind of card, but it's if you kill it on your side of the board, it's like a defensive card. The really strong ones go up to 9 points, and these ones are just like add 5 hits to every dice roll, or add 4 dice to the attack, and it's just some crazy stuff. You can do some pretty amazing hits, especially the Chaos Lord, the big red guy. He's super strong anyways, and then you tack on like that 9-pointer, and he's just going to obliterate anybody in his path. It's kind of hilarious. So the lore cards are going to be a huge part of the game. You're going to use them actively, and because your opponent doesn't necessarily know when you're going to use it, you can mess up their tactics pretty solidly, because maybe you can see how they're going to move, but you don't know when they're going to use those magic cards, or which ones they have in their hand. So after your main phase is over, you go to upkeep. This is when both players have done their main phase. That you check and see who gains victory points based on the conditions of the field. When you set up the board, there'll be victory points that you drop down based on your scenario cards. If you're standing on it at the end of the round, you get a victory point. Each scenario card also has extra victory point conditions. One that Chris and I played was that if his golems were on a hill, you got a victory point. Another one is if I had a hill and a forest, both occupied, every combination of those, I get a victory point. There's a bunch of little things like that. Another one was if your opponent is not in either of your cities, your buildings, you get a victory point. There's a bunch of cool little things to get victory points. So it'll usually, most rounds, it's pretty close. Like maybe you'll get 2, your opponent will get 1. It's never going to become like a hard blowout if you both know the rules, which is kind of one of the coolest things about this game. It goes quick. You're going to run through the rounds fast. Nobody's going to get like 5 victory points in a turn by like killing all your units, because it's a war game, but it's also kind of area control. So there's no turtling. You're not going to sit back and sit down in a defensive structure and let your opponent kind of commit you, because then they could sit back and just pull victory points. But at the same time, if you're super aggressive, maybe you don't have any units on those victory points. So after you tally up the victory points, you're going to draw 1 more command card. That happens every round. And then the lore step, where you're going to get those lore tokens and or a card. And that's the game. That's basically it. You just play until somebody hits 16 victory points, and then game over. It's super quick. It's super easy to set up. I think I learned the rules in like a half an hour. We did find a couple little tweaks. It is a strategy game. It is a war game. So there are some particulars you have to be careful about, such as the order in which you resolve the dice really matters. You're going to use, for example, I think Chris and I had a problem at one point where there's one ability on one of the units that if the other unit is weak, meaning they've already lost one of their pieces, you can, if you roll the crown, the special ability crown, the heroic, they take a damage. But you resolve the crown first when you roll 4 dice. So what we had been doing is we'd roll 4 dice and, oh, I hit you and I got a crown. So now you're weak. So now it's another damage. But in reality, it should have been nothing there because they were full strength before and we rolled the crown. Things like that you want to be careful about with the rules. But Fantasy Flight being Fantasy Flight, they have a rule book, but then they have this very nifty reference book, which basically anytime you have a question, you just look at the index in the back, and we found almost everything in here. Plus, there's like a nice walkthrough on the back, just showing you, the game phases, what each of the terrain types does real quick, the dice results, super quick. I think I've had to go online once to look something up on the message boards. So the rule book's been pretty solid. And there's 2, so you think it's a lot, but it's really not that much. So as far as complicated strategy games goes, this is one of the simpler ones I've played. As far as 2-player games goes, it's one of the quickest and more it's balanced and not super aggressive, where somebody destroys somebody in 20 minutes or 3 hours, which is even worse. And it's I put it at the top of my 2-player games list, right up there with Summoner Wars. I don't know which one would be 1, which one would be 2, but they're very close. All right, so let's get back and see what everybody thinks of Battlelore 2nd edition.
I have 2 questions. One, you said this was a simple war game, right?
Yes.
More simple than Rune Wars?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Dramatically simple.
But if I play this, would I get a better understanding of how to play Rune Wars?
No, mechanically no. You might understand the unit side more.
Plus, I think that some of the same special abilities are true in both. And I think if you play Battlelore, like when the first time I played Rune Wars, it kind of it kind of clicked on my, hey, this is the Risk. And then when you play Rune Wars, like you would play Risk, which is just conquer, build an army, conquer. You're gonna lose, and you're gonna lose quickly. So playing Battlelore really is a quick way of kind of introducing you to Rune Wars, which is, you want to take out some other units, but you really want to go after the victory points, which may have 0 to do whatsoever with conquering. And so in that way, it could be a good prep.
Yeah. Like, real quick, like, Rune Wars is also a much more advanced, epic, every turn things are happening. This is, here's your objective all the time, just go for it. So it's a little easier.
Yeah, it's like Battlelore might almost be like just one little attack phase of what you would do in Rune Wars. So there's no build-up, there's no purchasing, there's no strategy. It's just like, hey, let's have this little battle.
Yeah, the one thing I'd say is that you get a really good feel of what each army is like. The demons are very aggressive. They always go first, and all of their attacks are very offensive. The humans are very defensive. All their bonus lore cards, kind of like if you kill somebody on your side of the board, you get a victory point. So if your archers don't move and attack, they get to attack twice. Whereas the demon archers, they poison you. Yeah. So it's like thematically, you can tell very easily like what each side is kind of like. It's the demons are attacking the humans, and Rune Wars is the same. So.
Oh, and the second question is, how do you keep track of victory points? There's no track.
Chits.
You get little chits, yeah.
Oh.
We were saying we might just use spin down dice.
Yeah.
Because we've been doing short games where we play to 10 points, but the full game is to 16. But if you pick up, you can go to your local game shop, get a magic spin down die for $1, and just use that instead of having stacks and stacks of chits in front of you.
Yeah, and you keep having to cash them in because there's 1s and 5s.
Yeah.
So
it's and if you get those large spin down dice, it'll just be like, obviously I have 12. You don't have to keep going. How many you got?
What's surprising about that is why wasn't there just a score track? Yeah. Because honestly, it's a 2-player game, and you really want to know where everyone else is at, because 10 points, 16 points kind of ends the game, and you have to kind of look over and try to count these little chits. Why not have a little sliver of a track where you just kind of easily know where you're going on that?
The only reason I can think of is if they just wanted the battle map to be the battle map, but
yeah, it's just that kind of war game thing where you get a piece out of it. I don't know. It doesn't bother me that much, but it is harder to keep track. And then you do keep asking the other person, how many victory points you got?
Because it makes the whole game.
Yeah.
I will say this on an unrelated side note, though. I love the size of the board and everything else, and how you put, if you put a hill on the board, the hex goes over the hill on the board. Because it's Fantasy Flight and the size of this game, and they already have the Battlestar license, I would love to have them make a Battlestar game just so I can play it on that map and use the little push stick to I'm moving my ships in it. Because I felt like that's the thing that was pretty cool. This board, I felt like it was an awesome battle thing. I felt we're surveying over an actual war area and trying to strategically hold choke points and Instead of like Rune Wars, you're like, I need that dragon rune. I'm sending everyone after that dragon rune. Like, if one of you make it through, I got my rune. This game, you're a little more worried about loss, because if you have like like if your movement card is like activate 3 units on your left, but they got wiped out and you only have one guy there, card kind of like lost a lot of its stroke. So you got to balance a little more.
Yeah, the order cards, like the hand management, is really challenging because you're only going to be able to move a certain number of units. So it could be 3 in the middle, where that means both your flanks are going to be doing nothing for that round, and you almost have to kind of like gauge which you're going to do second, third, and fourth, because playing that middle row might, if you don't have another card for the middle, that's it for the next couple of rounds, possibly, if you don't draw another one for the middle.
No, what's nice though is Anthony mentioned how you can cash in 1 card to just activate 1 unit anywhere.
Sure.
So I had a card that like would have been a useless card considering my current situation, but I was like, all right, whatever. I'll just use this card to activate my demon, try to clear out some of your archers to get this chokehold. So that was pretty fun. Like, I like that the card is never dead. It's just not as good as it could have been.
Yeah, you're never stuck. The first game we played, we didn't realize that, so we both had cards that were completely worthless.
I had 2 cavalry cards and I had no cavalry on the map.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like just holding up space in the hand.
Yeah. And another thing, when you start the game, you draw 6 cards and choose 4 for command cards. So then you can kind of weed 2 out. Like, I don't want cavalry cards because I don't have cavalry out.
But what's the nice aspect that makes it a nice kind of intro game for this area is that you're only activating, 3 units, maybe 4 units tops?
I think the most I saw in any was 5. Like, it was 2-1-2.
2-1-2.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not massive. It's not like you have to kind of like, you just can't move other stuff. It's just stuck.
Yeah.
And you're just going to move a couple of things. So if you've not played these war games before, if you've not played in the Battlelore universe, this is to kind of get started on, because it's all right in front of you. It kind of limits your options in a good way. And it is a little more tactical without having to, have your head break down in AP like, oh man, what am I going to do? How am I going to move this, that, or the other? It's not like random. It's like you can move in this section. And as Anthony was saying, the board is broken up into 3 by this double dash red line that kind of goes up the middle. So if your units are on one side or the other, that determines where they're going to move.
Yeah. And that's kind of like the signature part of this command and color system. So if you've played any of the other games that use it, Napoleonics, the original Battlelore, that's what it has. That's what we're building on. But then Fantasy Flight's like, how do we make it faster? How do we make it more streamlined? How do we give you fewer options without making the game too simple?
Sure.
And they really hit like a perfect middle point on that.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm like the poster boy for Fantasy Flight, but the fact that you get to build your army out of points, and it was funny because when we were building our teams, like I had that hero clicks part of my brain going like, all right, well, if I use this and this is many points, then I can compensate with this. And like, but I mean, that customization alone is awesome, and then you're choosing your tactics, and that also changes how your units work. Like one of the field cards I played, my rangers got an extra range area,
Sure.
So I was able to outgun his archers, and that was pretty cool. Like I love all that element, and the one thing that is really cool is like I already want to play again, and I'm tipping my hand way too early because I plan on playing against you. I want to try a team of like maybe only 36 points worth of guys, or maybe even like only 32. Have 18 lore to start the game, and just make like I might have fewer units, but I'm gonna go in like really harder, really more aggressive with them. Just go crazy with those lore cards.
And that was what we were saying with too. It would have been great if, and it might break the game a little bit, but if you could almost subscribe a certain points to the lore cards and almost build a lore deck. So maybe you don't want to have that 1/9 card, but you want to have a lot of lower cards, or you want to have just the same way you kind of recruit troops.
Or if there was even an option like ditching a lore card to get a lore point. Like if you you drew that spell you didn't want, you can be like, all right, I'm giving up these 2 to get 2 more lore.
Yeah.
Like that one touch of balance would have been kind of cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, because the one thing that I liked was very early in the game, Anthony got a couple like lucky dice rolls, and he didn't hurt units, he obliterated them. It's like, oh cool, all right, I'm gonna fight your warriors. They're all dead. I'm like,
Yeah, well, I got that flanking bonus with the cavalry, which I didn't even realize. Like, I moved them both up. I'm like, hey, they're next to each other. Hey, that means they're flanking. Hey, that means I'm going to hit you really hard.
And the thing is, like, when units get hit, they can counterattack. His knights can't be counterattacked. So it was like I destroyed these guys. I leave this guy wounded with 1 unit left. Like his archer shot, and he actually got like 2 targets. And I'm like, what's happened? Like, I mean, I was like, I thought it's a 1 in 6 chance. How come everyone's dead? And he even said, he's like, I'm getting lucky on the dice rolls. This isn't a normal thing. And plus, like, even when he was missing, he was rolling lore on his missed dice. So at one point he had like 19 lore.
Did you really? 19?
It was, it was
crazy.
scary. It was like, no joke, scary seeing that stack, because I'm like, something hard's gonna happen, and I'm not gonna like it at all.
Sure.
Yeah.
And he played this 1 9-point card that it's just like
The one, the only.
yeah.
9
I mean, it
one.
basically says your guys eat faces now. Like they get a bonus to every roll. They hit, they roll
the humans.
everything.
They get a retreat, an archer attack,
It's a guaranteed hit. On
It's
every
one of
roll.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, and like when you play that, I'm like, oh no, like it was bad.
Like the siege kind of
Yeah.
engine.
Yeah. But what was cool though is I played, like I had a little bit of lore on my side. I was like, all right, I'm pretty much dead. Let me try something out. My demon went berserk. I ran into his lines, like punched an archer unit out of the game, slammed like some knights into a wall, killed them too. Like, so I mean, and the end of our game was close. I lost by a point. That's totally acceptable.
Sure.
For you don't feel like you got blown out.
No, that's
And
what's great about the game.
Yeah, and it's cool that you're like, all right, this is not going how I want it to go. Now I need to mess with you to try to get a little bit of foothold, and you can. Like,
Yeah.
those lore cards are awesome. One good die roll can really change the game, I like that it's not like I'm hitting. It's like I have a decent chance of hitting, but, or like I might build up lore, and then I can... Like, I may not hit you this turn, but next turn I'm going to be able to do something a little different.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, like with the archers, that I think they illustrate that the best. They don't hit anything. But there's all these bonuses, like so there's a card that comes up a lot. There must be a bunch in the lore deck or I guess it's a command card. It must be a bunch in there that if you don't move an archer,
Yeah.
you get to shoot twice.
It's the one. It's with the skeletons.
Yeah.
You get to order 4 archer units.
Yeah, and then the humans, if you don't move, you get to shoot again anyways. So if you use that card with the humans, they shoot 3 times.
Yeah, I did that against you.
So if you do it with 3 archer units, you roll 9 times on that round.
And to add to that, there's also a lore card for the humans that you can play. I think it costs 4 lore, where the archers are able to extend their range and not have any things block them either. So the archers could just be ridiculously deadly.
Yeah.
Just that one time.
But then they miss all the time.
They
anyways.
miss all the time.
But it balances out. So but it makes sense. Or they're far away. You're being
Sure.
defensive. You're not moving in. So you're gonna miss. But when you miss,
Usually getting some.
you're getting
lore,
a ton of lore.
which is awesome.
Because every die, you get lore about twice as often as you get targets. So then I ended up with 19 lore. I was like, all right, now I can use all my big cards, which I have like 5 of. It's like bam, 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 bam.
That's
like
true.
so. Okay, I spent 4 rounds and hitting you not at all.
Yeah.
My archers are useless, but now I have enough magic to just wipe out your front line.
I wouldn't mind a house roll, just if none of your dice result in anything, no lore, no hits, no special, you just get like 1 lore or something. Because on a turn, like if you get a couple of bad dice rolls, like your opponent may not hit you, but they might gain 9 lore in 1 turn. If during your turn you activate 4 guys, you don't hit, you don't gain lore, you don't gain anything, you do get that feeling of like you're in quicksand.
Yeah.
Where you're like, he got so much during his turn. Like that's the only thing that's like a little scary.
How many lore cards can you play per round?
As many as
No
you want.
unit, or there's no limit.
It's just
maybe
when
how
you
much
can
lore
play
you
them.
have. Yeah.
Maybe that would be something that could kind of help mitigate it. So, like, if someone has a lot of lore, but they can only play 1 lore card per round.
Yeah.
Because then otherwise you drop 3-4 lore cards,
Yeah.
which is a lot of lore to have, but it might help.
I mean, you're burning it all though. Then, like the 19 took the whole game. I just wasn't using the cards because I
that's
didn't
the
need
thing.
them.
Sure.
So.
Like the one thing that was kind of funny too is when we knew I was gonna that Anthony had it that turn, I was like, hey, can I just have 5 lore to cast a spell? And he's like, sure. He's like, I don't care. And I mean, that was kind of fun. It's like that's not how it would normally be, but it was cool to just be like, all right, let's see how this thing works. All right, cool. Like
That was the first time I saw that demon like open up too. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like he does double retreats on the helmet symbol, and if you can't retreat, you take a damage. So you got like into the back row of my army and just were hitting them off the board.
Yeah, so I just viewed it as like where he's picking them up and just like throwing a horse against the castle wall, just
It's like 4 retreats. I can't retreat. They all die.
Yeah, it's like someone in the castle like, what's that noise? Oh my god! People getting whiffed into towers.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely cool. And the thing is this, like, I mean, game's a little pricey, but you get a ton in the box.
Oh, it's totally worth it.
I would say this. I mean, again, because it's that Fantasy Flight quality models, you can use these things in D&D. Like, you know, it's like, okay, cool. Like, you know, soldiers ride up on you, and you can break out all those human knights. Like, throw them on an RPG campaign. Like, that demon. That would be awesome to fight in Pathfinder or D&D or something like that. Like, that thing looks horrifying.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I love that model quality that they give you.
Yeah, they're very detailed. They're very
big.
large.
Yeah, they're board game quality, but like top end board game quality.
And perfect size for miniature combat games.
Yeah.
Like, you
Sure.
know, D&D,
They held up
Pathfinder.
because they're going to get moved a lot throughout the game. So
Some of them are not put together. Fair warning. Like if you've never put together pieces, you might get a little intimidated when you open it. But the way they said it is like they click in pretty well. I glued them because I didn't want them to fall apart. But if you don't have glue or don't feel like gluing, if you just mash them together, they'll hold for a game. So even if they fall apart in the box, you can just jam them back together.
is it just the 2 large pieces?
The 2 largest and all the elites. So a lot of units needed to be glued. All of the obscenes needed to be glued. The rune golems needed to be glued.
And even that, like, I mean, it didn't have to be that way, but they did it to give a little extra detail to the mini. Like, they wanted to give, like, that nice sculpt, so I like that.
But yeah, I mean, I look forward to painting it. It's going to be cool.
Yeah.
Like, I'm actually worried about it because I'm going to prime them and start painting, and like, then we can't play it until I finish painting it, so...
Well, here's the thing, like, much akin to Pathfinder, I wanted Kim to play it a few times to see if she loves it enough. I dig this game a lot. I'm going to be honest, I think the Terranel thing really helps cinch it for me.
Yeah.
I want to see, Kim, like, if she starts playing a bit and kind of gets into it, I'm we're sharing a copy, but we might have 2.
I know, right? It's like, half the time when we share a game, one of us is like, you keep it. This one, we're like, I don't know, we might have to have a tournament.
Yeah, I mean, plus, like, I mean, I ultimately want to have enough Fantasy Flight products that when my time comes, I can have a coffin built out of Fantasy Flight stuff.
This funeral sponsored by Fantasy Flight Games.
Yeah, like have a pillow like filled with miniatures.
Yeah, I'm almost kind of hoping when they do the first expansion, it comes with another board. Then we can just be like, all right, you keep the undead and the demons. I'll keep the elves and the humans.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, and that would be awesome too. Like, because it's happening. It's just like. And what's so funny though is, we're like, oh yeah, come out later this year. Like, I'm already in that, like, how about now? Like, do they have model scopes? Do they have anything online?
I want it now, yeah. Game's been out for 2 months. Like, where's the...
Why don't you have 5 expansions here? Get with the program, Fantasy Flight.
Well, they have the scenarios are out, right?
Yeah, they have a scenario builder online. It's already up.
Which, again, is awesome. Like, same thing with Pathfinder. They note, like, you can make your own adventures. This thing, make your own scenarios. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it when they give you simple tools to get, like, here's something awesome, but here's even more.
Yeah.
And since it's, the actual models and miniatures from Rune Wars, then there's no reason why the undead and the elves can't come out with this summer.
Oh, they're gonna.
They better.
Yeah.
Because that's about the time frame when I'll be like, I like it, but I want to play something different.
That's true.
Yeah. So now, Kim, you saw me hold up decently. I didn't think the Chaos guys did pretty good. I mean, do you have an interest in trying it out now? Like, you think it's something you want to play?
I think I would. I wouldn't mind trying it out. It does look fun.
Yeah, as long as you go for the victory points. Yeah. Don't worry about the battles as much.
Well, no, that's what I do. I mean, like, when I play games...
Kim likes murder.
You can win if you wipe out the other army. Like, if you just decide you want to just destroy everything, you can win that way. It's just hard, I think.
In a 16-point game, though, you might have enough time.
Yeah, we've been cutting ourselves short. So.
Yeah. Well, just because, like, we're so anxious to play another round. It's like, well, we can do 2 games if we do 10 points.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's an unmitigated buy. Like, this is just... easy. That was the first time I played it. Like, yep.
Can I mitigate that?
Can you?
Is it unmitigated?
Unmitigated?
Yeah.
He does have resistance to mitigate.
Oh.
He spent 2 points after the last The one thing that's cool, too, a quick side note, I saw Fantasy Flight, they have pre-orders for an extra pack of 8 dice.
Ooh.
Oh, that's cool. Because multiple times we went over the 4. Any bonuses, you're going to go over the 4.
Yeah.
Especially with the 4 dice unit. So
that's pretty snazzy, too. Like, just like, I mean, again, Descent. I picked up that second set, so when I'm running it, I have my set dice in the place. It's cool that you'll have 12 dice. This way you each keep 6 in front of you. You don't have to reach across anymore.
Yeah.
And it's like $6 or something cheap.
Yeah. They have published something, too, about how to expand and do, like, a double board. But, like, how to build the points around that. So, because you could totally uneven it a little bit.
Yeah.
Like all cavalry and 2 chaos lords. Like, no.
Team Face Eaters, go! But yeah, I'm looking forward to playing. I mean, I'll even let you play the Chaos guys. I just want to have you play some of it. So Chris, how do you do like another adventure into the world of Tyranoth?
It's a nice place to visit. I don't know if I'd live there, but especially with all the face eaters, because I like my face.
It's a little loud in that town. Yeah.
You know, what's surprising about this game is when you look at it, and especially since it's a war game, and I haven't been, you know, other than playing some, you know, Risk and other games like that, Small World, and, you know, area control games, I wasn't really looking forward to, you know, real kind of war game so much. I know this is a little bit stripped down, but it actually kind of does so many things right and such an easy, accessible type of way that it might be, and I think actually it is, it's probably my favorite 2-player game. It just jumps right at you. It's very fast to play. Once you get through a couple of the little tweaks here and there about how, you know, as Anthony was saying about units and when you pull a unit off, but you're pulling a unit off if you get hit. It's pretty understandable. You have 2 units there, you have to roll differently, or you have full units. It's really all right in front of you. It's not something like you're holding, you know, 35 cards in your hand and trying to manage everything. It's highly gamer friendly, and the lore cards with, you know, the magic spells and things, I think that makes the game for me. I think if it didn't have those lore cards, it would kind of be a little bit too vanilla for me, but actually being able to kind of decide whether you're drawing lore cards, and being able to play those at specific times is really interesting. And since this is kind of like, I don't know, I know it's a more recent game, but it feels like the little brother of Rune Wars, which is just really such an amazing, incredible game, and you absolutely have to invest the time and money to get that. This is definitely something you should pick up. And for me, you know, at least with 2-player games, when you're playing with a gamer group or you're at a game store, you want these games to go quick. And you want to be able to kind of run through it and have a good time and not have to kind of slog down 4 or 5 hours in a game because now you're kind of stuck and you want to play with other people. So this is a buy. You know, I don't see why you wouldn't, with the exception of the elves are my team. So yeah. I would probably have to wait until the elves come out, and then it'd be like, all right, the elves are here, yay, let's play them.
I get the feeling like by default it'll probably be like the elves have a 5 range or something.
Yeah, I could see that.
I could see something like that.
Or they're faster.
Yeah, I can't wait to see those like tiger riders that were in.
Yeah, the Panthers. Yeah,
that's gonna be cool.
Because the cards are in the cavalry cards that are in the game now are the Panthers, and that's an elven unit. So they have to be an expansion coming real soon.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because that's the actual model. Why would you have those cards if they were not going to be a play? And the same thing with we were talking about the archer cards. Those are skeleton archers. The undead's got to be a character. It's got to be in there.
No, those 4 for sure. You know, like hopefully we see things like the dwarves.
Yeah, because the card game Rune Age introduced the dwarves and like a faction like berserkers.
That's great.
So I mean, if those additional guys came out.
Couple of years, yeah.
And the other thing too is like, oh, and here's 2 new units for each side.
Oh, it's gonna be
like
you're
definitely
gonna
multi-pack.
You have to do that.
That would be great. Oh my god!
And I think,
even if they released it like the Descent Lieutenant packs.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
Like,
or like new big units.
Yeah, like, you know, like 1 new big unit, the card for it.
Oh, we were talking about the heroes. Remember, like when you play Rune Wars, the heroes would be great if you could draft a hero into your game.
And then and now here's another thing. Take for example. For Dungeon Run, the original Descent and all that stuff, there was a conversion kit to 2.0. So, like, use your Rune War hero guys and your Rune Bound heroes into Descent. They can make a Battlelore conversion kit. Hey, use everyone that you can use in Descent and Battlelore.
Yeah, because why not? Why shouldn't you be able to use the same minis?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
$20, you know, those cards, just a conversion card, how much gold they cost, and their stats. Done. Or what they do. Done. That would be fantastic.
Just like how they have Cyclades and Kemet.
Yeah.
Where they have that kind of like you can use the models in both collections.
I love conversion card things like that.
Yeah.
Like that was my favorite thing with Descent. That's why I bought Runebound. I'm like, oh wait, and I can use them in Descent? Done. Like I wanted the game and I was like, oh, if it was $10 cheaper. Well, technically I'm getting 10 more heroes for Descent, so it's worth it.
Yeah.
So as soon as it, I mean, Fantasy Flight, please get these expansions out because I think it's going to make it such a dramatically greater game.
I will buy it. I'm buying it now. I already bought it.
Yeah, I need
in my dreams.
I need the conversion kit where I can play Gaius in Battle.
This is going to be one of those games where we fight over who gets to buy the expansions.
Well, I mean the undead one. It's If you want to get your own too, go nuts. But it's not an option. I have to because it's not. Dude, I almost bought the expansion for Wiz Wars, and I don't even own that game because it has necromancers. Like I don't know how to play it, and I don't have it. Here's $40.
I'll get it. It's coming.
Yeah,
I have it.
yeah. I mean, all right. So I'm gonna say it's safe to say that this is a must buy for us since we already got it and we have joint custody of this game because it's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I was definitely pleased with it. I'm like, I love the way it's set up. It's really cool. I like how the terrain works, like that, And the other thing too, I was a little worried that it might shift around a little bit on the board. It stays on pretty solid.
Yeah,
Like it's a nice
really
thick stock,
Yeah.
Yeah, the tiles are thick stock. The cards are really high quality. The artwork on the lore cards and the movement cards are just amazing. It's beautiful artwork.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think we should pick up some sleeves for the command cards.
Sure, because you're gonna play those.
They
A
can
lot.
shuffle
Those are the
around.
ones that use the most, yeah.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's good out of the box.
I was figuring today, like when we hit Myriad, pick up 2 sleeves.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So on a side note about hitting Myriad later, we wanted to do a little quick talk about like your local gaming store. Now, like take for example Battlelore. You're gonna go online, you're gonna see the game cheaper, and people are always like, oh, I'll just order it online, I'll order it online. But, sometimes people are like, oh, well, why would I ever buy it, for $20 more at this place? Your local game store has a lot of neat features. Like, take, for example, if you were to buy Battlelore, this game was really quick and easy for us to learn. If you pick up this game in your local store and you break this thing out, people are going to see that board and be like, that looks awesome.
They did.
Yeah. And just come over. You're going to, you'll find players that want to play it with you. And that's something that you can only get in something like this, like the great local friendly gaming store. So we just wanted to quick run over a few points of things that we love, things that you can only get in your local areas that, online might be cheaper and Board Game Arena might be cool, but there's just something to be said about going to the table, meeting some new people, and playing some games. So Chris, what would you say is like one of your favorite things about local gaming areas?
Well, I think you already got the first one, which is at the game store, you can buy it and play it and get people to play it 6 seconds into the, pulling off the plastic. Hey, I opened this. Who thinks this is cool? Everybody? Awesome. Now I have people to play with. So, I mean, that's definitely the first and most important part of it. The second, I guess, is for a lot of these games, if you're not a hobby gamer, you may not be aware that there are a lot of promos that go along with these games. And if you have these acquisition disorders like we do, or you're a completionist like I am, and you're like, what do you mean there's an extra character, but he's not really in play, but he's kind of cool and he would go with the game, and yeah, and it's, I gotta have that. And sometimes you see these on Board Game Geek, and they have a little Board Game Geek store, or you can find them on eBay for usually exorbitant prices to get these promos. Your game store is basically set up with the company to get free copies or, at a very reduced cost for these promos. So if you go into the store and you pick up the game, be sure to ask whoever's behind the counter, are there any promos with this? Because 9 times out of 10, they'll just hand you the additional promos for this, and you are going to be so happy to have these extra characters because it really does make your game very unique, and it does expand the possibilities. So promos, great to have. Your store has them. They're going to either give them to you right at the front or put them in as part of an organized play event. So definitely one of the reasons why to buy at your local friendly game store.
I would have to say that when I see people breaking out new games, I'd be intrigued. And, I would want to play them. And then when I do, I'll be like, Dan, we gotta buy this game. It's awesome.
And what's great, my favorite part is you have so many opportunities to try it out. You can watch videos and things can look awesome, and then you play it, and it's just ugh. You feel like you got to wash that taste out of your mouth.
Yeah, one of the great things about the game stores is usually they have a library. So usually they have games that are already opened up and available for you to try out and play. So you don't have to drop 60, 70, 90 bucks on a game, just with the fingers crossed that you're going to like this. Be sure to ask if there's any games that you can just kind of try out. And sometimes store owners will actually open a game for you so you can try it and, try before you buy. I mean, who doesn't love that?
Yeah. And I mean, it's for me, because 2 years ago, we didn't even know each other.
Sure.
We got a local game store. We started, getting some games together. You're going to meet people from all different facets. You're going to meet everything from, the kid that's in high school to the guy that retired 8 years ago. People doing all different types of jobs, different backgrounds. And it's awesome because, you'll see it's like sometimes it's like like a UN meeting. It's like people from every section of the world, and you're all playing Hanabi together, and stuff like that. Like I mean, I even met Kim playing Magic. It was like at a local game shop like Friday Night Magic. That's how we met. Met you guys through Myriad. Like half the people I know I met through like random game stores and stuff like that, which is awesome, because it's just cool. Like like hey like, oh, you want to check out this? How about this? Oh, hey, you want to get together next week? Oh, we're gonna do something at our place. Oh, let's go out for dinner. And like, you're gonna meet. You already know you have a common interest in these people. It makes it a lot easier. Like, especially if you work in crazy hours. Like, I feel like I work more hours than there is in a week at times.
Sure.
And it's cool being able to, you go out, you like go to a bar or something. You know that everyone likes to drink. That's not necessarily a pastime per se. At least, God, I hope it's not. But it's like game shop. You're already going to have that common ground, and you get to like feel somebody out. Like you see how they handle things, how they, like sometimes you have that friend that has an explosive temper you never knew about. Like if somebody's playing a game and you're like, oh, I attack, and they're like, you're an idiot, and they smash the table. At least you didn't find out by that guy being in your house and like his team loses, in playoffs and wrecks your furniture.
It's a very Fight Club, right? You only know somebody when you fight them.
Yeah, exactly.
So you do get to learn really interesting kind of things about people's personalities. But I think we all come from video gamer kind of backgrounds. So playing online or playing at arcades, you kind of get to know barely people. Like their gamer tag, or you see someone in an arcade. Board games, miniature games, card games, these are social games. And they're at their best with a group of people. I remember when I first started out with hobby board games, I was watching the videos, listening to the podcast, and I was like picking up a couple of games and like, oh, these are beautiful and wonderful. And you break them out and you're like, I really need people to play with this. So there's no better kind of location than local game store, because if you haven't been to one, now half the time probably they're just selling games, but the other half is the tables in the back. So you can actually sit down and enjoy a game there and kind of like welcome new people into playing and kind of build a little community for it. So it's really a nice atmosphere. And I think, as our friend Brian said, you make friends. Like Dan was saying too, you make friends hopefully last a lifetime, and you find really cool people to date, who love the same things you love, and that's a rarity, especially in today's world where you're really unconnected. So it's really kind of a place to kind of reconnect with other people in a fun and fascinating way, and really enjoy each other's company. And as Dan was saying, such an enormous diversity. You would think it's this 18-year-old kid, and it's not. It's men, it's women, it's every culture, every age, every background, every orientation, every religion. And games are a really great place to kind of like share your experiences and kind of grow together.
Yeah, and I even love it when you see like people's their beliefs and techniques in life, like they reflect in games. Like one thing I always got a kick out of is like when you play Caverna or Agricola, you try not to slaughter the animals. Like Chris is vegetarian, so like in the game, he tries not to eat the meat, even though it's not his. He's like, yeah, no, what other people doing that? And I get a kick out of like how you do that in your games and stuff like that. Like it's always cool when people do that.
Yeah.
And it's for me, it's like like in my RPG backgrounds, I always love necromancers. So any game that has necromancers, I'm like, I'll play those first. Oh, they're terrible. There's errata. These guys are bad. I don't care. I'll lose. Give me skeletons. And one other thing too that I actually sometimes love is like when you play a game or something like that, people have like different components. Like Love Letter, our friend Earl has these like cool little glass red hearts. And because the game comes with like just red cubes, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. Like, where did you get that? And you can actually like find like awesome ways of upgrading your games through cool sites and stuff like that. Like with us, we got those gold coins that we used for Game of Thrones and then Lords of Waterdeep. So anytime we play those games, people are always like jumping to get in the game because they want to use those cool metal coins. Like,
sure.
It's a cool thing. And like, you tell somebody sites, 2 weeks later, you see somebody coming in shaking a bag like, oh man, I got those upgraded shits, or, I bought that thing too. And it's really cool because, it's a game you're familiar with, but you get to play it in a unique way with this person.
Yeah, and the other part to that too is, with these games, they're pretty complex and then the rules are kind of tricky, but you can literally just stand up and go, hey, anyone ever play this game? Because, we're not sure about this rule. And then like 3 other people are going to pop up and be like, yeah, this is how you play this. And you're like, Wow, that's awesome. That saved me like 2 hours online, and you're going through the text and stuff.
Or like just watching a video by yourself.
Sure.
Going, yay.
And it still doesn't answer the question.
Now, I also want to let you know one thing about upgraded components. Chris's birthday was this weekend, which is awesome.
Yay!
So, knowing it's one of your favorite games, now it's going to destroy your perfect boxing system.
No!
But we wanted to give you a little upgraded component thing for
Aw.
Caverna. Because why would you use cardboard for food? I mean, there's...
It's more cow meatballs I'm not going to eat, but I'll eat the corn meatballs. Thank you.
which is pretty cool. And we figured, now it's...
20 meat tokens.
And now it's an even 50 trees that had to die to make that game.
Yeah, right.
We didn't like that odd number. Like, there was a couple of leaves left in the forest. We wanted to eliminate that. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, the cows you put them instead of the,
Like the brown cow.
cows.
Yeah, because the brown cows and the wood always get mixed up.
And yeah, which we like. I saw.
So
that, I was
now
like,
you can
that's cool.
distinguish between which cows are.
That's right.
Not going to be eaten.
Are these wood? Do we burn these or do we herd them?
But yeah, I mean, all in all, it's like, and one of our favorite things, like we mentioned, our crew tournament, the Tickets Ride tournaments. Getting organized play at your local areas is great because, like we mentioned before, our friend Nick put together this Mage Wars tournament where there's standings every week. You can win in-store game credit. You can get like additional promos, and you're playing against tons of people. Like Mage Wars is a game when I first played it, I was like, all right, it's kind of cool, whatever, kind of enjoyed it. Now that this tournament's happened, I've been like going back through my cards, like playing more, trying different casters, just because so many people are playing it. You can like really enjoy your game. Like sometimes you pick up a game, you play it 3 times a year, and you're like, that happens, But when you have organized play, like Coup, we've been seeing people playing Coup for the last 2 weeks, left and right, because they're looking forward to the Coup tournament. Mm-hmm. So even though it's a simple game, they're like, I want to get used to using this guy, or see if I can trick people with this guy. It's great knowing that when you have organized play, you just see that game just start spreading like wildfire. And then when the tournaments come up, everyone's involved with it.
Yeah, and there's these opportunities are everywhere, and these local game stores, they're usually not big chain stores, so you might have one in your neighborhood and not even know about it. Yeah. So it's a good opportunity to kind of reach out and locate the local ones in order to support them, because they're also supporting the hobby. So if you really like these games and you want to see them kind of flourish, as Dan was saying, it may cost a couple of bucks more here and there, but help them out so they can stay in business, they can spread the hobby, and your hobby doesn't become something that's just such a rare thing that you do have to play, in your room by yourself.
and the other beauty is this, like if your local game store doesn't really have something like that set up, the owners, if you have like a good owner, he'll work with you for it. He'll be like, all right, cool, let's put up posters, let's note this, we're going to start doing that, let's organize this. And if it's not there, you can make it happen pretty easy.
Sure. And there's, as we've probably said in the past, there are good game stores and there are bad game stores, and usually the difference is the people there. How are they running it? How's the community there? But this is one of these rare situations where you're part of the community and you can turn things around and you can make a positive impact, and you can start meetup groups, and you could start podcasts. So, reach out and connect. Now, Dan, if they actually did want to reach out and connect with us, how would they do that?
Well, Chris, I'm glad you asked.
Are you glad that I asked?
There's multiple venues. For example, you love the podcast, you want to get it updated every time we have a new episode for download. You don't want to have to search out. Look for us on iTunes. Subscribe. Don't forget to 5 stars while you're there. And you should probably write a review, because, this way we know you care.
That's right.
And we care that you care.
We do.
Let's say you just like to get little quick updates. You want to know when that episode's coming out or what the next topic is going to be. You can follow us on Twitter at BGA Podcast. If you're more of a Facebook kind of guy, you can look up on facebook.com/BoardGamersAnonymous. Join our group, give us a like, feel free to post in there. Hey, you want to talk about your local gaming store stories? We want to hear about it.
And obviously, you can always kind of find us at our local friendly game store at Myriad Games, Staten Island, New York.
And I would say our most dominating presence is on Board Game Geek.
Yes.
We check it out as often as once a week.
But we will check it more if you were there.
Yeah,
our guild is live and active.
Yeah, and we're starting to get more and more involved with Board Game Geek because I'm seeing cooler and cooler things on there all the time.
Sure.
And, if you guys like it, basically the bottom line is no matter how you get in touch with us, we're going to get back to you because we love this hobby. We love hearing from everyone out there.
Yeah, we're here for you. So we go through the ridiculous amount of rules and way too expensive games so that if they're worth having out there.
yeah, that's the only reason I picked these up.
Yeah. That's what you tell yourself. So you keep doing it.
I don't have a disorder at all.
It's a public service. We get addicted so you don't have to.
Right. So, like we mentioned, our local friendly gaming store, which is where we're about to head to do some games, because I really want to do Battlelore again.
Yes, and I know at least half a dozen people at the store when we were playing it last week asked for a slot, so we got to get it in. All right, so we're gonna go and wrap up for this week. That is everything. This is Anthony.
This is Dan.
This is Kim.
And this is Chris. And until next time, we'll save you a victory point hex at the table.
All right. So I'm calling dibs on the demons.
Duh.
That's not cool, man.
Didn't see that coming.
Just because I choose it every time doesn't mean I'm going to choose it every time.
Yeah, test.
I played with Chris the first couple times, and he doesn't want to play the demons. So I get to play the humans, and I'm.
Oh, that's going to work out great.
But I will play the elves once the elves come out. I'm like, my guys.
The elves are your demons.
Yeah.
Well, the only reason I'm using the demons is because the undead isn't out yet.
Yeah.
But I think I actually have a new plan. I want to do that swarm spell behind you. This way, when I hit you with the retreat, knock you into the swarm.
I think that's how to make that work. Because otherwise, I just go around it.
Yeah,
What's the point?
That was my favorite. I put up a swarm wall. Okay, ding, ding, ding. Still stab you? Well, that was unfair.